Good evening, or afternoon, or morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first guest. My name is Ciro Salcedo. Some call me CJ, and I am your host. Joining me is my wonderful co-host, Christine Monge.
Hi there.
And we've been trying to do this for almost a month now. It hasn't worked out. It's things get in the way, and for most creative types, it's very hard to be happy with any product you make. But we're here now. This is one we're actually going to do. We have everything set up, and we've come up with a long-term plan for this channel and this podcast. And I'm going to start us off. What we're going to do is we're going to do a quick little get-to-know-us session. But first off, let's do what I've been wanting to do. Christine?
Yes.
What are you playing this week? What's been occupying your time?
Besides work, I would say Witcher. I haven't really spiced up my games that much.
I haven't finished The Witcher. I'm not close to finishing The Witcher.
Yeah, me neither.
I am currently playing Far Cry 5. This came after a week-long 3D platformer binge. Phenomenal game. Yeah, I know people are tired of the whole Ubisoft open world game thing, but I'm digging it. I know everyone's favorite game. Everyone's gonna say that God of War is their game of the year so far, but I'm itching for Far Cry 5. Anyway, Christine, let's get to know each other. Let's get to know each other. So this is just a little introduction for you guys, because you're probably thinking, who the hell are these people? Why is this in my feed? Should I close it? The answer is no. Don't close it. But let's start with a little background, Christine. Tell me about yourself. What are you guys? What are you studying? What do you do? What drives you?
What do I do? Right now I am double majoring in history and English. Planning to go to law school after that, depending on money. And
I just graduated with my AA, and I have two potential... I graduated with an AA in journalism, communications, and then I have two potential schools I could possibly go to, but me being the procrastinator I am, clearly you can tell, I still have no idea where I'm headed or what I'm doing, but I'm seeing where the wind takes me and where money takes me. And as far as work goes, I work for my college's newspaper. I'm still there for the rest of the summer. So, just chilling and watching whatever episode Dragon Ball Z I can watch in the office, since I'm technically not a employed there.
Yeah.
I was already paid for the summer, but I have to go because of that. But it's not a bad gig. Because it gives me more time to think about what I'm going to do here.
You can interact more with your community that we love so much.
Yeah.
Here in Miami.
But it's fun because it gets me a chance to, the time I spend, it either gets me a chance to write or go on Twitter and search for topics or think of stuff to do. Or, again, I bring my Switch anywhere I go. Or, I'm trying to 100% Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Oh my God.
So, an interesting... We're Waypoint Set. Our name, and I know we sound very similar to that Vice channel. Forgive us, I had forgotten. But yeah, forgive me, because I came up with the name, and we came up with the design well before we even knew what it was. And I think they sent me a code for Destiny 2 once, the beta, and then I realized, oh shit, wait, we but the name Waypoint Set came from me brainstorming a bunch of names, and I tried coming up with something like snappy, to the point. Something I didn't want to call us game blank or game something then we would have really been repetitive in the thousands upon thousands of things like that. I wanted something kind of classy, like the Easy Allies have, or something like that. So I think Waypoint Set stuck out because at that time, I think you and I. At that time, I had just reviewed Watch Dogs 2 and Steep from Ubisoft, and they're both open world games from Ubisoft, games that you, Christine, and I are very familiar with. And the common thing that most games have, especially open world games, is the fact that you have to put a waypoint
Oh,
you're
yeah.
consistently
I think
following
that's
Waypoint.
so massive that you have to place your own.
Right. So I kind of like that idea that Waypoint
Making
Set
our own...
mark, as cheesy as that
journey.
sounds. And that kind of leads us to our next topic. The sort of games that got us into this podcast. What sort of made us think like, oh, this is what we should talk about, or this is what we want to focus on, or we need something here. And Christine, give me that sort of game, that made you think, oh, this is important.
Well, I think like both our journalism backgrounds like really played into our wanting to kind of put stuff out there. But I mean, it wasn't just a particular game, it was more like a whole bunch of different games, and just seeing like maybe little details that other people don't necessarily catch, and the like the background behind it, the history that the games are wrapped around. I found that really interesting, and I know a lot of people don't really like take that into consideration, but I figured a platform like this would be good in the sense that there's people who probably want to know about it but just don't have the means to make like their own podcast or videos. And
I've always liked the smaller podcasts to listen to because they're very community centric. The easy allies they do, then they have their whole love and respect thing floating around, which is very nice. And I've always liked these, like I've always wanted to have my own version of that. This sort of, let me have like Christine and I aren't the only people doing this. We have other.
Yeah,
we have
they
other.
Just couldn't be here.
They couldn't be here. But we have other. I have like two cousins who are on this already. We have other friends who wanna kind of join in. And that this whole idea where Christine and I get people we know, and have them kind of come along and talk. It's that whole thing because. We spent a lot of time talking about video games, and I think most of you can relate.
It's like the driving point of our relationship.
Yes, that's something I think most of you can relate to. But obviously, we always thought like, why are we recording this? Mm-hmm. And it's funny because games. I always talk about games. It's always been a big thing ever since I was young. I was always talking about how I unlocked so and so in Smash Bros. Melee, or how I unlocked so and so in Smash Bros. Brawl. The games that got me into this podcast that sort of wanted me to form something like this is because this generation was like the first time I played video games in years, at least 2 years. I had a really kind of tragic situation in 2015 where I would occasionally play video games. I still had a PS3, but I wasn't really playing as much, and it wasn't until the year after where I got a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One that they were gifted to me. Where I kind of got back into it, and it was nice. I finally have a good sizable collection I can call my own. I finally played games that I've been dying to play. That was when I got Uncharted 4.
Yeah, I feel like I got you into the whole new console thing.
It was you, and you guys will meet later, my cousin Arlie, who I would go over his house, and when he finally got a PlayStation 4, I'm like, holy crap. He got it when Fallout 4 and Arkham Knight came out. So it was a crazy scene. He got it with Arkham Knight, Witcher 3. Yeah, he got Arkham Knight, Witcher 3, and Fallout 4. Basically the big games that came out that year. Mm-hmm. And it was crazy. Then when I met Christine, she had both new Assassin's Creed games that had come out at that point, which was Unity and Syndicate. Which I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's the
Syndicate, The Order.
And The Order.
When we first met, you were only stuck on Uncharted.
I only because I had
as far as big open world console games that.
I was the last game I had played before we met was I think the last Major game. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I was still talking about Uncharted 3. That was still my that's within my top 3 favorite games of all the time. It's still Uncharted 3's Drake's Deception. That's the reason why I wanted the PlayStation 4, because I'm like, oh crap, I gotta play Uncharted 4. But that was probably that one, and I think I was still playing through Assassin's Creed 4 as well. I played on PS3, mind you.
Oh god, I've been wanting to buy it on PS4 so bad.
So it's kind of funny, this is a gen that kind of got me into it. So then I didn't know a lot of people who had one. I didn't know. I think the games I played for it didn't really impress me. Mm-hmm. Until I think I played Mortal Kombat X for a little bit. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. It's not Mortal Kombat 9, which I had. So it wasn't until I got one. It's like it's funny. I wanted a Wii U for the longest time just for Smash.
Oh my God.
That was literally the only that was the only console I wanted. But it wasn't until like Uncharted 4 was like finally shown off. And I'm like, yeah, this is what I need. November I got one. Like after Thanksgiving, I had gotten one. The first game I had Knack. I think someone like my aunt gave me like from PS4 a bunch of games. I had Knack. I had Knack and Little Big Planet 3. I enjoyed Little Big Planet. I had Knack, Little Big Planet 3, and Black Ops 3. I think all of those three, Little Big Planet 3 was probably the best one I enjoyed.
Oh my God.
It wasn't until my brother brought me Far Cry 4, which I'm like, okay, wow, this is something nice to look at. Then I decided to jump the gun, bought myself the Metal Gear Solid 5 Definitive Edition. It was my first and my favorite game on my PlayStation 4. A week after I bought Uncharted 4 on sale. It was like for $30, which isn't bad because it was within the same year.
Mm-hmm.
And I beat that in a week easily. Something amazing. But I think that this just gen in general.
Yeah, it's been like the pilot to many things.
And it's been amazing. Every other like month or so, there's always a new game either that I want or like an old game that I'm revisiting. For it's amazing, and it hasn't stopped since I got my Switch, as well. So I think we have plenty to talk about down the road. But aside from that, I mean, we are only into games. For those who know me, I'm more of a movie guy. It's just the games. Games are like the most fun thing to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Games are that one thing that I can never ever do. I can't make a game. I can't.
I think you'd be able to have a good plot.
Oh,
you just wouldn't obviously be able to develop it.
Yeah, I have to be like Shigeru Miyamoto and just.
But you've seen like more than enough movies.
That's exactly and it's funny because most people would expect me to gravitate towards like, big like cinematic games, right? Like I love Uncharted, but at the end of the day, I spend more time playing like colorful platformers, or I think I was playing Doom that has no story. It's the opposite of cinematic. It's fun. My favorite games I played when I was younger was Tony Hawk, but I've always been more of a movie guy. It's always been more of my interest. It's something I can actually do. It's something I can talk to like.
It's a conversation starter.
It's a much better conversation starter. Like my
video games, because everybody sees movies.
Everyone watches movies, so like my dad, he likes puzzle games, but that's about it. Like I can't sit down and explain to him what like Final Fantasy X is. But like I would watch movies with him, and I still do. That's like the one thing we bond over like every Sunday. What are some movies you like, Christine? Because I know it's not your topic.
Oh wow, I don't know. Like I'll watch a movie and I'll be like, "That's a great movie," but then I'll forget about it, and I'll only remember like the most basic films. At the top of my list would obviously be like the most recent one that I saw, which is Infinity War. That's just like everybody's seen it, so that is like really a conversation starter. That one, I've seen a lot of the Scorsese movies, cause you kind of got me into them.
Yeah, I like.
So Scorsese, Tarantino. I've been watching actually a lot of older films for a film class I'm taking this semester. So, like, Big Trouble in Little China, Good Morning Vietnam, The Wolverine, movies like that. I'm getting into older ones. I've learned to appreciate, both old and new, and the amount of effort that goes into them.
I've been watching a lot of, I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone when it comes to movies, especially. Same thing with games. It's that whole idea where, there's other genres out there, I might as well try, except with games, it's a $60 gamble.
Yeah. You can't stream a game. Well, you can through the PlayStation, but
I'm not doing that. But it's so the same way I'm trying to get into more JRPGs, it's the same way I'm trying to get into, let's say, like more horror films.
Mm-hmm.
So something like that. It's a genre I never really dipped my toes into, but I've discovered some good stuff. Like I've been what else? What have I been watching? I've been watching like a lot. I got into the Evil Dead series very recently. Very, very out there, outlandish stuff. I try to keep it within stuff I'm familiar with. So it's like the most of the horror films I like are like the weirder ones, the science fiction or the comedy. So like I like Alien a lot. Alien's probably my favorite like horror film. Same thing with Jaws, but they mix like other elements. And I think the biggest thing that we got into, I guess the two of us, is music.
Yeah.
Music is it's not a great conversation starter because everyone has incredibly different tastes, and I think you'll cause more arguments than you will. It's almost as bad as politics.
Yeah.
Because music is such a diverse thing. You got people who like vehemently hate rap music, while others really hate a certain genre or artist. But I try to keep an open mind to everything. And I kind of strike a good balance. Music is like the easiest thing to have access to.
Yeah.
Considering it's something I always would try to find if I was stuck on a review, I need something to review because I can't pay for a video game or I can't pay for a movie. Then I just quickly do a quick Spotify search. If an artist has released something new, I'll review an album. And Christine, what have you been listening to? What's like the most recent thing you've listened to?
What have I been listening to? Actually, I have my phone right here. Let's see. Okay, so I've been listening to the new Panic at the Disco album. It's good. It's different. I mean, I've been like kind of a long time fan. A lot of older music like Depeche Mode.
I love Depeche Mode. I love
Kanye, Arctic Monkeys, the new album, Tranquility Base. That's a good one. I still haven't finished.
It's good. It's good. I'm currently in my the second half of the first half of the year's over. Let me get into my blank of the year stuff. So I always start with music. I always make a list of like my favorite albums. So like albums I've been listening to. Like as far as like this year go, Janelle Monáe's album Dirty Computer is really good. Janelle Monáe's album, Dirty Computer is excellent.
Okay, computer.
Basically, Dirty Computer is good. Year of the Snitch by Death Grips is very good. And everyone knows Tired of Me. I want to thank Anthony Fantano, the needle drop for getting me into a group like Death Grips. Kanye released a good trio of albums. Yeah. He had his solo album Yay. He produced Push's album Daytona. He had his collab with Kid Cudi, Kid See Ghost, which is a phenomenal album. I don't know if that's my favorite of the three, but it's very good. Who else? Hell, even Father John Misty's album was my first introduction to him. It was a very good album. Stuff, and I can go even deep. I love there's no genre I won't touch. Like that's so I've been trying my hardest to keep an open mind. I do a thing where every day I try to listen to like at least one new album. This was the year I got into Prince.
Oh yeah.
This was the year I realized Purple Rain is like one of the greatest albums of all time. And it's stuff like that. For those afraid that we're only gonna talk about video games because I know they can get really stale. No, we have interests outside of games, of course. Yeah. I know Christine, like she's into like her TV shows. She's into history and culture like that. Me, I love talking about, aside from games and movies, I like watching anime and I love talking about comic books. I like stuff like that. And it's a whole other thing. So obviously, don't be afraid if we're gonna scare you off like that.
I never said where the waypoint was gonna set, so
that's bad.
There's a whole bunch.
There's a whole plethora of things that we want to talk about. Christine's like happy that she got the word she that I was thinking of, and that kind of transitions to our next point, like what we want to get out of it and what plans we have. What I envisioned, it's ambitious, and I know because I had nothing else. You know what I'm saying? This is like my first time jumping into something like this. What I envisioned was this be our main podcast. This is the main thing. We just talk about whatever news is happening in the industry, which is okay, kind of boring, but if we don't record it like within timely, it kind of gets lame. So we think of different topics
to keep it like until we get everything up and running.
Yeah, so we'll talk about stuff like what games we like, or I have plenty of ideas, and if you guys want to for example, I wanted to do one where a group of us build a hypothetical PlayStation Mini where we take 30 great games from the PlayStation 1 and kind of put it together. The same thing what Nintendo's doing, or we do one where we come up with different ideas for games, or we come up with we just talk about some developers you like. So that'd be for like the main podcast. It's an audio only one. We'll debate on doing video at some point, but for now it's audio.
Yeah. Audio and written, most likely.
Well, okay, and then that we have a written component. We don't ever use Tumblr.
Probably something more professional.
Either Tumblr or Blogspot, where we'll post our writing. We'll post writing.
Yeah.
So
it'll be like a backup, just in case.
So we'll have like written versions of top 10 lists. We'll have written reviews of new games as new games start coming out, because I know the summer is really slow when it comes to releases.
Mm-hmm.
So once like the release schedule, once hit, then we'll be hard at work. So like they'll start like in September. Whenever when the bigger games, so like already September we have like September through December is busy, because we have games like September has like the Tomb Raider game, the new Tomb Raider. October has the new Assassin's Creed, the Red Dead 2. November has Fallout, and December has Smash. So it'll be like we'll have a steady stream of reviews. What we're gonna try to do to fill up the summer is I'm gonna try to talk about older games. Mm-hmm. Or do top 10 lists. Once we have a new link on it, we'll post it on Twitter at Waypoint_set. What else? We wanted to do reviews. I wanted to do like video essays on games I like and analyze them. We want to do actual video reviews. Basically, the same way most outlets do it, where it's a package. Mm-hmm. A shorter, maybe like, you know what I'm saying? Something between like 5 to like 20 minutes, like not 20, like 10 minutes of like us talking about a game, or doing a condensed version of a written review with a score and everything. We'll do what did you want to do? A 10 point scale?
No, 5.
You want to do 5?
Yeah, just because it's a little bit easier than...
Than 10?
Yeah.
Okay, so actually it is. So it would be, the scale would be like, 5 would be, not perfect, because no game's perfect. 5 would be, I guess, like, what, phenomenal. 4 would be great.
Yeah.
3 would be good. 2 would be...
playable.
No, 2 would be, like, mediocre. 1 would be awful.
Mm-hmm.
Just...
basic 1 to 5 scale.
Yeah, basic 1 to 5 scale in a 0.5 range kind of thing. And then we'll have a written component with the video things. As far as other videos, we have plenty. I want to do skits. I want to do so much. But then that's all up to you guys. If you guys want to see that, we want to set up a Patreon once we think of actual things to give people. Which again, you're more than welcome to suggest if you guys want.
Yeah, this is just kind of like our foot in the door.
If you guys like
to get started,
I was thinking, we obviously would list your names on every video if you were to donate like a certain amount, or we could send you videos early in higher quality, or ad free, or just things like that. Little things like that. We can start. I know most people have like a book club kind of deal, or where they kind of get together and talk about stuff. So maybe we can do something like that.
Yeah.
Just. What we're gonna keep thinking this week. We're hard at work doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're finally recording this.
Finally.
But yeah, and a huge thing we want to do, because we finally got all this stuff prepared. We want to do streams and Let's Plays. Because it doesn't make any sense for me to keep playing through a bunch of games and not having footage of it. I think what we're gonna do is our first like real Let's Play. So yeah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have like different types. We'll be like, Christine and I play one game. We'll call it something cute, like couples therapy.
Couples therapy.
Well, we'll play through games, like co-op games that neither of us have played, or at least the whole thing is I want to expose Christina more like different genres.
I thought you were gonna say you wanted to expose me. I'm like, what? What did I do?
Yeah, I want to call her out on her shit.
Not that bad.
No, but like, I want to like obviously like the whole point is to like kind of get us out of our comfort zones as far as like different genres go. So, Christine, she didn't grow up on like 2D platformers from the 90s.
Crash.
Yeah, she grew up on like I think it's like the closest thing. But like for example, like we want to do a Let's Play of Kirby Superstar because I have my SNES Mini, so we can play through that co-op and stuff like that. Myself, I would want to do a long play of like, I guess I'm thinking either a JRPG or something, but we'll get to that at some point. And then we want to do streaming. We don't know what we're going to stream yet. We don't know what we would do.
Yeah.
My initial plan would be if we get a new game, we stream it before we review it, just to kind of get our initial thoughts. And that counts as us actually playing through it, and then we'll take notes and but we'll see. wherever the wind takes us. If you, again, of course, we'll leave it up to you guys. We'll do like polls, weekly polls for whatever stream you want to see. We're open to anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So to not bore you guys to death with more our introduction, I say we kind of plug in our social media. So of course, our Twitter is at Waypoint_Set.
Mm-hmm.
Find us there. We don't have much yet, but you can follow the individuals that so far.
As listed on the bio.
It'll be listed in the bio. Whoever's on whoever's on an episode will definitely have their Twitter, and we'll plug in their if they have a channel or whatever, a separate a separate channel. YouTube is Waypoint Set, which this will be on.
We'll try to put it on everything, really.
Yeah, we'll try to put it on everything.
So,
We'll try to put it on Apple. We'll try to put it on Google Play. What else? I know Spotify has their own thing. SoundCloud, we can definitely.
Yeah, and anything that basically we could.
And of course, if there's a format that you guys want it in.
MP3.
Yeah, whatever.
LimeWire.
Whatever. If you guys want to torrent it through LimeWire, by all means, go ahead. Actually, that's a good way. That's a good incentive. We can have it downloaded for Patreon, but that's basically it. This concludes our sort of mini pilot.
Just kind of getting our ideas
down into. If you guys have any, I'm curious. What are some games that kind of got you into what your interests? What are some games that got you into the medium? Let us know down below, or again tweet us. Join the conversation. Christine and I will be on Twitter. We're on Twitter all the time anyway.
Yeah.
You'll see me either
throwing shade or
I'm throwing mad shade at all this.
That's all CJ does.
All this turmoil, or I'm talking about cartoons and video games. And Christine's retweeting dog pictures.
Yep.
Okay.
Dog.
If you guys want, it's the spiciest dog memes. Holla Christine. If you guys want some awful political shade
and general shade,
hit me up at on my Twitter. And this has been the Waypoint Set podcast. Christine, any parting words?
I just hope it really takes off, or at least we could start a platform for everybody. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. You have a good night.